Okay, okay, we are live. We made it. We made it. We made it. We made it. Let me get AnDrea on here really quickly so that she is here as well. Here we go. And she is going to be hopping on any second now because I think we finally got it figured out. Oh my goodness, that was an adventure. I'm gonna turn my do not disturb, do not disturb, do not disturb. It's like wait for Dre to hop on. I wanna make sure everyone has the right link. Hi!
Hi!
Okay, we got it, we got it. Oh my goodness. Ta-da!
Let's change that to,
Holy,
11:30.
oh my gosh, 30 minutes, but you know what? Their first time doing live stream on YouTube without the help of Danielle, so that was so weird. We're here. That's okay. Before we start the show, since I started a new event, I want to double check the website and see if it's if I need to send out a new link.
So does the screen flip back and forth to who's talking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It should. If not, I might have to do it manually. It's on you right now.
Okay. Do you want me to kind of talk about what we're talking about today while you do that?
Well, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and, that's a good idea. Go ahead and just start with the intro.
Hello, welcome to Beauty's Talking Business. A little bit of technical difficulties today, but that is perfect because we are learning and growing as we work together here. We are Beauty's Talking Business, and we are all about helping the modern millennial entrepreneur move forward with her business in kind of a bunch of different fun ways that we do that. Jenny and I have combined over, what do we have, like over 20 years experience in the beauty industry.
Yes, every time you say that, it makes me feel old. I don't know, but I mean, it's awesome though. Like, did you ever think you would get to a point where you could say that in your life?
I know. It goes by so fast all of a sudden. It's so fun. I love the beauty industry. And Jenny has experience in product development, and she has her own product line that she has called Create Beverages. And so we're just entrepreneurs being creative, following what inspires us, and we want to help others who are similarly on their journey, on this similar journey in their business, and we want to help communicate the different things that has helped us in our lives. And so we talk a lot to the beauty industry professionals, specifically nail technicians, and we have some really fun topics that we bring up. So today we are talking all about, okay, so I'm going to pull up my little notes. So we're talking about what makes you happy and allowing your soul to show in your work. And so I don't know if you're kind of ready to dive in, Jenny, or did you post it on?
Yeah, I'm sending the email out right now with the updated link.
Awesome.
For our guests and putting it in the group. Would you like to, let's see, you handle the business part. Would you like to just set an intention for today?
Yeah. So maybe I can introduce myself, and you can introduce, and then we'll kind of start. So my name's AnDrea Pettingill, and I'm the creator of ShineWithDrea.com, and I mentor women on, I call it inner beauty mentoring, because it's about the deeper, the mindset stuff that help us to create the work and the life that we want. And so that's I'm kind of like the mindset kind of side of things. And I I also train and teach in nail industry professionals, and I've been in the beauty industry for 10 plus years. And I have a studio salon in North Ogden, Utah. And so a little bit about Jenny, I'll let her introduce herself.
Yes, and please forgive me. My name's Jenny, and you can find me all over online at JennyAHansen, also over at JennyAHansen.com. And I have been, like AnDrea said, I've been in the beauty industry for, between the two of us, we've been in the beauty industry for over 20 years. And I shifted that because I love service and really helping and serving people. And I really am this big believer in like positive self-talk and positive thinking and building up your self-esteem and all of that. And so I shifted that into a product that I developed, and I kind of just dove into the product-based industry, not knowing anything that I was doing. I had like no idea like what I was doing, but I figured it out. And then got it working, got it flowing, got it going. And then AnDrea and I connected and realized that she actually found me on Snapchat, which I love. And we realized that we both were very similar in what we do and the work that we want to put out there. And so that is kind of how the show came about. That's not really much of an introduction as it is a backstory. I don't know why I just did a backstory. Maybe it's for anyone new that's joining.
Yeah, it probably needed to be said. It's perfect.
So yeah, so that's, you know, that's that. But yeah, so now we're doing this show, and like what AnDrea said is that we really are just helping just share our experiences and what we've learned, and also showing you too, just authentically, a lot of what it takes, like behind the scenes or as things are going, whatever it is, like what it really takes to get going. And we don't hide anything. I think we just are very like authentic and real in that.
Which is so fun. It makes it so fun.
I love it.
Okay, so today we're gonna jump into the show. We're talking about what makes you happy in your work and how to put more of your soul into your work. And I just want to set an intention for our conversation today, because what I want to help us create a space today is a space of really being able to tap into what is our truth for ourselves and honoring that. Like, I hope that together we can help to uncover ways we might be blocking ourselves from truly enjoying our work and from truly stepping into our greatness and our into our zone of excellence, where we are feeling called and drawn to work in, but maybe we're holding ourselves back because of a limiting belief, because of no one else is doing it this way. We kind of get stuck in a lot of these stories that are running through our heads. But the joy in the work that we do, it's so important to incorporate joy, and that comes from following your bliss, doing what feels good to you, and honoring your truth. And so I hope we can create a space that it's safe to be open to that possibility of allowing yourself to honor that in you. So with that, I think we're ready to get started.
We're ready to get started.
What is your first kind of thought and topic on this, Jenny, if you want to start us off?
Yeah, so let me pull up my notes here too. Otherwise, I will be extremely lost without those. Where are you? It's just a day. Okay. I know I was joking. AnDrea and I were talking earlier before we were starting the show, like early as we do. And I'm like, I have not totally meditated today. I kind of did this like little mini meditation, and I just am like, oh, I just feel kind of scattered. And it's so showing. Like, that is so wild. I think when you meditate constantly, that is something, or not constantly, but I guess you could. Some people do. But when you meditate regularly and then you skip it, you're kind of like, don't feel right. And it's the same thing with working out. I think if you like have a good like workout and you work out every day, and as you're working out every day and then you like skip a workout and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you feel totally like blah. I'm totally going through that right now, Jenny, because it's like that whole getting back into my workout routine. Yeah, it's like that you feel that resistance, and I call it when you've been doing the wrong thing long enough, doing the right thing feels wrong. Like, oh, this sucks. But you got to get back into it.
Going back into it. And I think too, we just got back from vacation too, which was so fun, and it was so amazing to have that meditation time out on the water. I don't know, for those of you who are not from Utah, there's this place called Lake Powell, and it's like on the border of Utah and Arizona, and it is like this beautiful lake in the middle of the desert. And so you have all the red rocks, and I tried so hard to get some pictures on Snapchat because I'm like, oh, people need to see this beautiful place. But of course there's no Wi-Fi or cell service in the middle of the water. So but anyway, but I did get a few in there. But yes, so just to bring it to full circle and to my point is that part of really identifying what makes you happy and really identifying what your message is and what you should be doing. I think there's a lot of heaviness around it in the sense that if I decide what I'm going to do, I can't change.
Yeah.
That if I make this decision, I'm committed and I'm stuck in it. And I feel like there's truth to both sides of that in the sense that when you do commit to something and you go for it and you do it, that you do need to have a tenacity about it to see things through, but you still have this permission and this freedom to continue to self-explore and really find what energizes you and lights you up. And so my first topic is to actually meditate on your message.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I was gonna say that where you're oh, maybe it's gone, but where you're when you're committing to something like making a decision and all of that, it's kind of this like, can you give yourself permission to grow when it no longer serves you, but knowing more about yourself and knowing when it doesn't serve you and when it's right to change paths, I think is like a big piece to that too. And that's why I love that you're bringing up meditation, because how do you get to know more about who you are and your true self unless you can get quiet with yourself?
Exactly. And I think too that people, and I've done this myself, I'm so guilty of it, but I feel like that it's, I don't know, maybe it is some kind of programming or a belief in the sense that if you, knowing what no longer serves you, but sometimes like, I think that sometimes that organically you'll get signals and signs that kind of show you that it's time to move on from things as well. And I think that it's like with anything, like you don't know if you're this amazing rock climber until you actually like go try it and see like, oh, I love this. This is so fun, da, 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 you know, or you actually have to explore to find out what really lights you up and what your soul is really resonating with. And if you're not allowing yourself the freedom to explore on that, then you're not going to find it. And you'll find yourself stuck in this place of feeling like suffocated or stagnant or I don't know, contracted.
Yeah.
And so meditating on your message, for me, that looks like the deep breaths, getting quiet with myself, connecting to my source and higher self, and beyond that and into the earth, and really going into that place of beyond just me and my physical body, but really going into a space of it's almost of what a feeling that comes through you and not from you, if that makes sense. And And so if you ask and you reflect and you say, you know, what's in my soul? What's my message? What is my purpose? Like, you can meditate on that constantly. And if you're just in that space and you're like, what's my purpose? You'll start to have things come to mind, and don't dismiss them.
Yeah.
You know, write them down. And even if it's something crazy, you know, if you're like,
and
right?
I want to point out that there's so much power in asking questions, because the first thing our brain wants to do when it hears a question is to answer it. And so the power of the questions that we ask can be so huge to our personal growth.
That's so
So
good.
that's a great question to ask. How did you say it? Like, what is
My purpose.
what is my purpose?
Or you could even go like even take it in and say, what is my purpose today?
Yeah.
That today is a big one. And we've talked about this before, Drea, about just putting that today on it.
Today makes it so different, because you think it kind of brings you into the moment and accountability for now, instead of, okay, someday I'll take care of that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like bringing this all together to how it relates to us in the beauty industry or in your business, in your work. We get really caught up in taking care of our clients, taking care of like our next step and or whatever our business needs to grow.
Yeah.
And when we use this tool of meditation, it kind of helps us to kind of step back and check out what's going on, because like for me, a lot of different things in my business are changing and growing right now. I'm trying to follow that, what we were talking about, like following what feels good, following what makes me happy in my business, and really highlighting like those things that are important to me and how I want to create more around those specific things, as far as like the nail art in my business, and you know, apprenticing and working with my students that I teach and stuff. And so in just like following that, it takes getting quiet and really checking in and kind of stepping out of like the day to day in your business and in your work. Don't you think, Jenny?
Absolutely. Because that's something that, yeah, you do. We as humans are so in routines with things. And it's like, even going back to the working out analogy, because that's something that, like, or what you were saying, if you don't do something, what did you say? It was really good. That
When
if you don't,
when you've been doing the wrong thing long enough, doing the right thing feels wrong.
yeah, that's so good, because it's that same kind of thing, but in the sense of routines in your day to day. And we as humans do that because it creates a sense of safety.
Yeah.
So it's programmed in our DNA, as far as just being human, that what is predictable is safe and what's not predictable is not safe. And so if you're not willing to push yourself outside of certain pieces or parts that don't necessarily feel entirely safe, then you'll just be stuck staying in this little bubble of your safe environment while the world is happening around you. And I actually, there was a friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. And around this time, I started looking at what certain people, like, there was a book that some hospice nurse wrote about what the biggest regrets people had as they were passing away. And one of them was like working too much, or not spending enough quality time with their family or their loved ones, or really living life and experiencing things. And so I just think that, I don't know why I'm on this tangent, but for whatever reason I am, but just giving yourself permission and freedom to let yourself experience life and do things that you wouldn't normally do, whether it's something simple or something huge.
I think that kind of like relates to a lot of times, like in the industry, not like assigning that one thing's bad or another thing, it just might not be your path. But like sometimes you see in the nail industry that there are technicians that have been doing their thing for 20 plus years, and they kind of get stagnant, and that's kind of that like just like how we were talking about just earlier, like how you'd get really caught up in the client work, and instead of like looking at all the different designs and techniques that are out there and following what's fun and what lights you up and creating more new in your business, I don't know if that kind of relates a little bit to
No,
that.
that totally makes sense. I don't know. I think that, and I see that too. Yeah, I never really realized that before, but I do definitely see that in the industry, or a lot of different industries, where people, they get complacent.
Yeah.
Complacent, which is just so sad. It's kind of heartbreaking because there's so much joy in new experiences. Like, okay, so we were just at Lake Powell, right? And everyone wanted me to wakeboard. And I'm like, I do not want to try this. I'm like, my poor little body is going to be so mad at me, which it is. And, but they're like, come on, just try it. And so I gave it a couple tries, and I didn't get up, because it was my first time. But my father-in-law said something to me that stuck in my head. And it was before we were going boating. It was before we were going wakeboarding. And we were going to go out on the boat. And I was worried about my kids being on the boat for so long, because we were going to go through this canyon. And this canyon, you're like on this little boat, and it's like there's like trees coming out of the water, and these rocks that are just like hundreds of feet high. And It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I was like, I don't know if the kids are going to be able to be in the boat for 2 hours. They might get too hot, la, la, la. But really, I was anxious about it. I was in fear. And so he said to me, he's like, well, you can choose to come with us and enjoy this experience, or stay here with your anxiety. And I was like, whoa, I don't want to stay here with my anxiety. I want to go experience something new. And I'm so glad I did. And then later, we went out. So then I was more inclined to go on the boat again, which we did. And then tried wakeboarding, which was so fun. Even though I didn't get up, I still tried it. So I'm proud of myself for that. But I tell this story because it brings it all into the topic for today about like what makes you happy, and what is really going to let your soul come through. And like Dre is always saying, like, shine, you got to shine, let yourself shine.
Yeah.
In that same breath. So is there anything that you really do to meditate and get clear on? Like, how did you know you wanted to shift into coaching and helping people? Because I know it organically happened in the service industry, but what made you decide and say, I want to do this too, and even maybe more so? And, like, what was that part in your heart and your soul that went, I have to speak this?
Yeah, it's kind of this like, well, it reminds me also of when I decided to become an educator in the industry and qualify with a product company. It was like, okay, I could go forward and do this. And it's kind of like how you said, I could sit, or I could stay here in my anxiety and never know if I can actually achieve the goal that I want. And it's kind of like, for me, it was this turning point of like, well, I always regret it if I never try it, and there's this pull that my heart has towards it. And like, there's being a part bigger than me, because, when we're in the nail industry, when we're like starting out in our careers, it's just us and our clients, and it's small and it's manageable and it's safe. And it's super safe. It's this nice little box we've created for ourselves. And
we're still in control, because
it's so in control. And what?
It's like, well, you're so in control because you're like, okay, I can take one client, and then okay, I can take another one.
And then you're in charge of your schedule, and you kind of get to this point of where you and I are at, where we're like, we have complete control. We have our routines and our systems down. In the salon, we could do it with our eyes closed.
Yeah,
almost. And then it's like, it's this plateau of like, okay, I could stay here in, you know, in where I've evolved to where I can like, you know, just kind of go on cruise control or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
or I can continue to grow. You know, there's the you're either growing or you're dying, right? You know, they say that it's like if there's no growth happening, then there has to be death happening, you know, or just
Ooh.
stagnant, you know. So for me, when I was you know, pulling mentoring into what I do, it just became, it was really natural, like you said, because I started to learn new tools and just like freely express them with my clients, and it started to really assist them. And then I started to actually offer that specifically. And it's something that like really pulls my joy in my heart and lights me up when I get to share that with them. And it's kind of really, really helps to notice that. It's like when you're done or when you've done that, are you drained or are you fulfilled? Do you feel like you can keep going? Like when I do really awesome set of nails that have like so much art and so fun, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was amazing. I'm taking pictures. I'm ready to like do it again. And even if it's at the end of my day, I'm like I need to keep playing with my art. You know, it lights me up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like other things could be so draining and so like it's just not your joy. It's not what fulfills you. So
Yes. And I think that this too goes back to like really putting your soul into your work and allowing your true self to come out, because I think we also go into so much judgment around this too, in
yeah.
the sense that um, we like judge ourselves. We think, what are other people expecting of us, you know, and we go back and forth and like just dumb stuff. Like even today, like all my nails broke after my vacation. I hadn't have time to like paint my nails. Normally I would be painting them like during our interviews, which are so fun, or during our show, which Drea always thinks is so funny. Like I literally like have like a polish right here. I'm like, oh, I could just paint with my eyes closed, literally.
Yeah, just look down, not really.
No,
So
watch in 5 minutes, you'll notice my nails are painted. But anyway, yeah, it just goes back to that that feeling of that you just have to be so true to yourself. You really do. You have to be true, and you have to know your cues. Like you have to start to identify and know what your body's telling you, what your soul is telling you, what your energy is telling you, what your physical nature is telling you. I remember I worked this one job where I would come home, like I on my way to work, I would literally go into anxiety. And it was so hard because I'm like, what is happening? You know, like I'm fine. Like what? And it was legitimately because my body was like, we don't want to be here.
yeah.
Like you have other things to do. And like, you know, and at first I thought there was something wrong with me. I went into that judgment of I'm being weak, or I'm just like not pushing through, you know, like cowboy up, whatever.
Mhm.
And then I had to realize, no, this is like a message, and messages come through me sometimes physically,
Yeah.
or your procrastination. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, I love that because like part of like the topic of what we wanted to talk about today about, you know, following what makes you happy is sometimes, and this, well, I can just speak for myself, is like in the beauty industry, this has come up for me before, is that you feel like you judge yourself for wanting anything else other than, you know, becoming this like top nail artist or whatever your definition of success is. And when you judge yourself like that, you're just limiting your life. You know, I have a friend that she's a hairdresser and she just recently transitioned into being a yoga instructor. And she was like, it was just such a beautiful natural transition for me. And not like to drop shame around all of that or any of that is like such a beautiful act of self-expression and just stepping into what brings her joy. And it's just so wonderful to like you know, it's one of those moments where you like her following her bliss gives others permission to do the same, because, and like, it's just follow what makes you happy, because like I like to like use an example. So if you are like shopping or something, I can just like use this experience because it kind of happened to me. I was at a boutique and I was shopping, and the lady wasn't really like helping me, and I was like, oh, I want to find something cute for this event. I was going to a wedding, and it was like, oh, instead of like getting excited with me and helping me pick out stuff, she was just not really saying much or anything. And it's like, you can tell when someone's not in their joy, or maybe she was just having like
a bad day. Yeah.
Nice. But like, if you're doing nails and you're not in your joy and you're not, you know, people can feel that. And you want to be in your joy in what you're doing. And so you don't want to punish yourself and judge yourself, but keep yourself stuck, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I don't know. I feel like that, I don't know. I'm not saying like quit your day job if you're not happy, because there's obviously financial responsibilities and commitments or contracts or things like that that come into play. But I just want to like make it so known that, you know, if you're unclear and if you're not totally happy in what you're doing, that to listen to it and not dismiss it, because through personal experience, like before I started Create Beverages and this Reiki line, it was very much like I had all these thoughts of, you don't know how to do that. You can't do it. You don't know what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. And it finally got so, and I put it off for like, I think it was like 2 years before I finally decided I'm going to do it. And I think, what if I would have started 2 years ago? Maybe there's divine timing in it. Mm-hmm. And then I also, with my blog at JennyAHansen.com, and like, I guess it's more of a blog than a blog because everything's video. But that too, I remember wanting to start doing something like this before I started doing it for years. And then, but it was like, I don't know how and time and blah, 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 blah. But I kept like diving into that study. And then when it was time, I was like, holy crap, I do know how to do this.
Yeah. That's so cool.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how it happens.
That's how it happened.
Mm-hmm. You got to act first, and then, you know, the knowledge comes. I think that's just
exactly
all the time.
And we talk about that in throughout the journey all the time. And I think too that this goes into exploring like all sides of your gifts. Mm-hmm. Like this is something that is that I think a lot of people don't do. I think a lot of people maybe don't totally get this. Like, what do you mean all sides? What I mean by that is that if you are considering maybe you have a strength, and you know you have a strength in something, that there's this sense of really exploring all the pieces and the parts of that within you, which means that it's helpful. I don't want to say you should, but through experience, it is helpful to take the idea, like, so you meditate, maybe some ideas come to you, and you take that, right? And you really ponder it, and you're like, okay, like, what is this going to look like if I do this, right? And then really fill it out and think and visualize yourself at complete success with it. And then visualize yourself in complete failure with it, and knowing both sides. And it will see yourself thriving and see yourself shattering, and see yourself there and going to being perfect to absolutely being in your shadow and self-destructive with it. Like, because if you're not willing to really look at and consider that everything's not always, like, I'm a very positive person. It's actually one of my strengths. But there's this
it's just like this yin and yang, like there is darkness and there is light. And so, honoring both sides of it, that's really powerful to like step into and really feel into it.
Yes, exactly. Because, and then in the business world, this is taught too. Anytime someone's like going to like take risk or whatever, they'll say, okay, make sure that you plan for the worst case scenario, or if something goes wrong, how are you going to handle it? And then because people who don't plan for that, when it comes up, it can really rattle you, and you don't have that ability to make quick decisions. And so it's similar to that, but for me, I encourage people to be prepared, but also to understand that there's emotionally within yourself, that there's a part of you that will see what you want to do in its greatest, highest vibration of you. And then there's also seeing it in like the lowest vibration of you, and knowing that it's all you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't feel like it's kind of like exploring the shadow self and the higher self and getting into that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I think because sometimes like you blow up the shadow self to be much more worse than what it actually could be. Like, so for example, me stepping into being an educator, following, like looking at that and visualizing that and being like, where could I possibly go with this? Where's my highest self take me with this? And then also like really watching it progress and watching it go to the darkest place or completely fail, or but just watching the actual journey of it, I could be like, oh, I can handle that.
Yes.
And so I'm going to step forward because I choose that I want the light more than the darkness scares me, kind of a thing.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. Thank you. I was having such a hard time articulating it, but that's exactly it. And it's something too. See, for me, my goal was that I wanted to be a celebrity nail technician. Like that was like the ultimate goal for me, right? And then I got there and I did it. And once I was there, it was kind of like,
okay,
I'm still doing nails, and I get to say, oh, I did those nails, or I did those nails, like if you see it printed or in a magazine or something. But it wasn't what I learned more about in that experience was that I actually would sit and I would ask questions, and I would engage in more conversation with like the high level business people and like CEOs and presidents of companies. That's the conversation I would engage in more than I would the celebrities, because I didn't want to learn how to like be famous, but I did want to learn the tricks and like the secrets to being successful in business. And so
learn what was interesting to you. That's so
right?
That's so cool.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And I never would have realized that if I hadn't just gone for what was calling me.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you had to follow the path to learn the next path, kind of a thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so what was our next topic? Oh, so the expression of it. So what that means is, we've already kind of touched on it, is just to do it and to start expressing yourself and to start expressing what you're doing. So like an example, like if you're an artist and you want to paint and there's like this beautiful painting and you can like see it in your mind and it's been there and it's loud and it's been calling you for a really long time, and maybe just start trying to like get it out and like doing it. But see, this can also manifest differently as well. So I had for years and years and years, I always wanted a painting of a woman, like the figure of a woman in the trunk of a tree, right? For years and years and years. So anytime I had a friend that was like an artist or a painter, I'd say, will you paint me this? You know, da, 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 da. And they're like, I don't know what's in your head, but I would try, and I can't paint. It's weird. I can do nails, but I can't paint, you know? And then one day, like just kind of randomly, I was like sitting outside in my dad's orchard, and I look over, and he has these beautiful like fruit trees and all these beautiful trees in his backyard. And I look over at this tree, and there's this gorgeous tree, and in the shadow, like there was a shadow cast in the trunk of the tree that looked exactly like a woman branching out into this tree. And I was like, what? Like that's what I've been wanting. And so I grabbed my phone and I took a picture of it. And so I was able to get that through a photo, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's kind of like, eventually I was able to get it kind of thing. But because it was something, for some reason, part of my soul like wanted that. And it was just the timing and the time of day and the way it was cast, and however, whatever was casting, I don't know how, but it was just there. But I think that like, if you're doing nails, if you're doing hair, if you are in, you know, a product business, and I actually want to touch on this too with products, but you know, if you're painting, whatever that looks like, that if you aren't willing to put yourself into it, then what's the point?
Yeah. So my example of this is when this last January, maybe it was the year before. So for a year now, I'm licensed as a cosmetologist. And so I did hair. And so for a year, I haven't done hair. I decided that nails is my niche. It's my thing. It's where I had the most clientele. You know, I found myself being in that space of like complacency and not having any joy when I was doing hair, not being excited about hair appointments coming in. And just like, it took me like probably like 3 years of fighting, like, why am I still doing hair, to finally let it go and to really put myself in to doing just nails, and to just really live that, as far as like only taking nail appointments, only, you know, doing what I was passionate about, and really niching in that. And so many fears came up for doing that, you know, for who I would lose and all these different things. And then one day, it's probably like 3 or 4 months ago, I had this like aha moment, because in the storage area in my salon, there's a spot where I had put my hair chair, and I had remembered that it was in there, or maybe I saw it or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I used to do hair. And it was like this moment of like, I didn't miss it. I was doing great. I was making more money than I was before. And like, I was like, all those fears had been totally squashed. And it wasn't like it, I was so grateful in that moment that I had chosen to step into this thing that was scary to me for years, and really focus on what I'm passionate about. And so I'm like, it was just like this wow moment for me to be like, yeah, following what made me happy in the end was not as scary as it seemed it would be.
Right? I love that. And isn't that so amazing when we do things like that? And I think, so, and why I wanted to touch on this with like a product-based company is because I need to like scoot back here. Hang on. I'm gonna adjust the way I'm sitting. Okay. I'm like, it's, I like throw a jacket on and I'm like, okay. But I'm really in like comfy pants and a t-shirt. But yeah, so for me with starting a product, now sometimes people who like want to start a product or have a product-based company, they have ideas for things they want to do. And the grunt work, the hard part of that is that you get the product developed and then it's like, oh, now I have to sell it. and I have to, or or if you're like, or you get to, depending on where you're passionate about. But I think there's creators, and then there's people who like enjoy sales, and there's people who enjoy creating. I've learned about myself, I enjoy creating new products, creating content. Like I like to create, set it free, create, set it free, create, set it free. So that's where it's like hiring someone to come in and help with the parts that you don't like to do is so important. But if there's like a project or something, then it's like, oh, this would be a good idea. You know, like this is needed in the world and it's solving a problem. That's great. That's fantastic. But unless there's like a real powerful emotional why behind it, then it's going to be very difficult to get through the tough and the difficult times that come up, and that tenacity you need, and that almost just stubborn like drive to just keep going forward.
I feel like we all have probably had that feeling before, because as creatives, we have tons of ideas, but just because it's a good idea doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea for you, right? That's a lesson I've had to learn over and over again. There's so many opportunities like all over the place. There's so many ideas, but if it's not your truth, I guess I would call it, or your, you know, you don't have a big why behind it, doesn't mean that's going to be the one that you get to run with, right?
Yes, exactly. And there's a really good TED Talk, and I forget the name of the guy, but Simon something, but he talks about the power of why. Something, but something with why. I'll have to find that out. But it's a really good. He wrote a book on it, and he did this amazing TED Talk on it. And he really dove into that same principle of that. If you hear, what's my why? Why, why could be totally valid, but it's more about I think your truth, like you were saying, Drea, like that. There has to be this ornate truth to what you're doing, because if there's not, you'll suffocate. You'll suffocate. You won't be happy, and
the constant nagging of what could have been,
and it doesn't go away. Like people, it does not go away. It'll just keep coming up over and over and over again until you actually do it. And then you do it and you're like, that's not for me. Like I used to think that I would get these ideas of things that I wanted to do, and then I would say, okay, I'm going to go learn how to do this. And so I go work for somebody else, and I would study and I would learn how to do it, which is just great. You learn so much. But then I would see and I would think, I would learn, I don't want this. I don't want this. And then, I would go and then I would think, okay, maybe I wanted, there's this thing that I've really always wanted to do. And I would get going. I'm like, nope, like my kids are only young ones. Like, let me wait till they're a little bit older and then I'll explore that, so you kind of have to just really follow that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could put better words to it.
It's just like honoring what's truly going on for you, what's true for you.
Right. Now, can we touch on maybe when you realize or you think that something's not for you anymore and letting it go?
That is like huge.
That could be a whole other show.
I was going to say, letting something go, it's like our ultimate lesson, right? As we progress as creatives, like, even just like clearing out like old art projects that you haven't picked back up, or old, work projects that you let them kind of die. And you notice that your attention isn't there anymore. But then what we do is we put a lot of guilt and judging of self attached to it, that like, well, I committed to this and it's not in my heart anymore, but since I committed to it, I have to finish it. And you know, just assigning this judgment of like have to, and that's attaching to like the thought that every project needs to be finished. And because we believe that that is true, that it has to be finished, that that's causing us to not feel joy. So it's like if that thought is causing us not to be joyful because we're forcing ourselves to finish something we're not passionate about, like why not dismiss the thought, choose a new thought that like I'm supposed to start lots of things and not finish any of it. You know what I mean? Like choose something that serves your higher, you know, higher self instead. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think that it's kind of heavy because I remember when I started, and I think that this is true for all entrepreneurs, not just creative entrepreneurs, but in all entrepreneurs. I think this is true. That as you start to really develop your message or what you're bringing into the world, things begin to shift and change. Relationships with family members, friends, partners or spouses, you know, siblings, co-workers, things, yourself, like you begin to change and relationships start to change. And I'll never forget this. My Reiki teacher, she said, she kind of warned us and said, now, as you guys are going through this process of becoming Reiki masters, you will notice that certain people will kind of slowly move out of your life and new people will kind of come in. And that was like, no, like I didn't want to do that. But it's the same thing in business or anything that you do. As you grow and you develop and you evolve and you're doing the things to take care of yourself first, your vibration is rising, then you will literally notice that some people can't even hang with you anymore. And that's okay. Sometimes it's sad. It doesn't need to be like this drama or this end. I don't know, some things kind of organically, you know, like people or things will move out of your space and new things will begin to move in. And yeah, so I think really the bottom line of what it all boils down to is to focus on yourself and your self-care, and to do the things diligently that make you stronger. Whether it's exercise, mental stimulation, reading, energetically, you take care of your energetic body through meditation, spiritually through prayer, or that can be meditation as well. Reading, staying educated, you know, bringing things into the physical by saying them out loud or writing them down. Your physical body, eating well, working out, things like that. Because as you become stronger and take care of yourself, all of these other things we've talked about will fall into place. Mm-hmm. It's truly that simple.
Yeah. That's something that I'm learning a whole bunch about, you know, and relearning about this past little bit is the self-care aspect, because a lot of times we worry about making a difference or being creators, that we're creating something that brings value to other people, to serving. And so we think, oh, if I worry about me, you know, like you just brought up, Jenny, if that's selfish. But it's actually self-full. Like what we want to do is to fill our cup up so that we have overflow to give to others, because we can't, you know, run around. I heard this analogy once, like we're running around empty, like we have this big empty like vase and we're trying to fill other people's cup up, but it's empty. Like we got to fill ourselves up, you know,
right.
And so that
we can't just pretend to be filling people's cups.
Yeah. We can't just run around like that. And so it's
a lot of disappointment is going to be going around.
Yeah. So I love that point. And
I think that, but it is that simple. So I think it really is that simple. That if you, it's like Wayne Dyer used to say this all the time before he passed away, and he would say, "Be a good animal." Just be a good animal. Let yourself just be a good human. Humans are animals, so let yourself be a good animal. Which, what he means by that is by making sure that you just allow your being to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's so much power in that. Because when you can let go and allow you to just be you without any worry what anyone else is going to think, there's a strength that comes with that, and there's a knowing that comes with that. And so I think that when you can get to that point, it goes back to surrendering. It goes back to that surrendering. But there's that point, it kind of, that's when things fall into place, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's lovely. That's the word that comes to mind. That's lovely.
Lovely.
That's just lovely. I love it.
Yeah, just let yourself be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you take it back to high school and you like think, I don't know. This so popped into my head.
Because we're talking about being happy. I remember this activity. I was at a retreat once, and they were like, get angry right now. Like you could really like just like, you know how you can just like create that feeling. Like you can go there, remember the last time you were angry or whatever. But then you can also remember the last time you were overfilled with joy and love, and you felt so blissfully happy. And so when I think of you saying like just be, like we're talking about being happy today, like, so just be happy, just like choose to be happy. And it's like, can it be that simple? Can we just choose? Can we just like be happy in that moment? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's like training your brain. And I talk about this on my in my free audio, that it literally, for me, I was in this horrible depression when I was younger, and I had to literally train my brain to be happy. And that's why I'm so like focused on positive self-talk and positive thinking, because I had to take it not day by day or hour by hour or minute by minute. Sometimes it was second by second of like negative thought, thank you, but no thank you, next.
Yeah.
And replace it with a positive one. And it was almost like an exercise. And once I was able to do that, I was able to help. But then again, there's a difference between happiness and fulfillment. And you can feel happy, but are you going to feel fulfilled? And it's like, if you really want to just feel happy, you can do what AnDrea said, and you can sit and you can take a moment to yourself, and you can go into that place of a time you felt so much joy, and you feel your body with it, and you appreciate it, and you're grateful for it. You can absolutely do that. And then, but then you still might not feel fulfilled at the end of it. And so fulfillment, I think, is like a whole nother topic. That's like a whole nother show too. We always do that.
Yeah. We're making lists, ideas. New topic.
But anyway, I don't know. Do you feel like there's anything else you wanted to add or say, or that you feel inspired?
All of the things that I, wanted to talk about. So we hit all of those. And so, yeah, I don't know.
I feel kind of like inspired to just add one more point, which is that there are days too when maybe you are angry, maybe you are sad, maybe you are depressed, maybe it's not like this perfect positive day, and that's okay too. There needs to be honor in that as well. Yeah. My husband and I, we're both have this same belief, so it's good for us together. But sometimes I'll just wake up and I'm like, it's a shitty day. And he'll be like, cutie, Are you okay? What's wrong? And I'll eat my breakfast and I'll meditate and I'll read and I'll pray and I'll do all the things I do every day.
Yeah.
And I still will feel like
it's part of the human experience. Like there is just like the ebb and flow, and you got to honor. It's a gift to be given the funky days like that, because you get to have gratitude for the good days. You're experiencing the crappy days and the crappy feeling, but you got to really feel it at like 100%, like turn up the volume on it so you really get the message, right?
Yes, like feel it and then let it go.
Yeah.
Like feel it, think it, bringing that mindfulness to it and let it go.
Yeah. Because as we like forcibly like ignore it, we're just, fueling that fire and creating more of what we don't want.
And I see people do this all the time where they're like, they go into shame about it.
Mm-hmm.
That like, I'm just really moody today, or I'm sad today, or whatever, or I'm not as patient today, or anxious, whatever that is, and they go into so much shame about it. And it's like, there is nothing to be shameful about those moments. Like, like you were saying, if you're feeling really angry, like let it out, not like onto somebody else, because putting your negative energy onto other people is just wrong, plus horrible etiquette. But if you take something where you can release that, but also be mindful of it and honor it and say it's okay, it'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like the ebb and flow you spoke about, Drea. So for me, I'll go through feelings of growth and grief. And it took me a while to figure this one out.
Yeah.
But there is times where I feel like, oh, I'm doing so well and all these things are going great and everything's like very easy to do, and then it just comes together. And then I'll have moments where I'll almost be filled with this burden of grief, like something is dying. And I would go into fear about it, and I would worry about it. And then I had to come through meditation and realization that sometimes grief and these feelings of grief is just a matter of transitioning into a new phase of my life, or a new phase into what I'm doing in my life. And so now if I have these moments of growth, I ride that wave as long as I can. And then if I go into these feelings of grief, it's like, okay, something's changing, something's moving, something's releasing, and let it go. And then it always comes back to another place of growth again. Yeah. So like, don't go into shame or guilt or anything when you have these moments or these days. Like, go have a good cry, have like a day in bed, have a walk,
and that's literally what is helpful. Like, it sounds like, oh, just go do that, but do it. Like, I had to have so many good cries like last week. Like, it's so healing. Someone told me once there's two healing or liquids of the body, that's sweat and tears. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we just get so much healing through letting ourselves cry it out. Don't be ashamed of it.
It's a way of like purging the negativity, releasing old information that no longer serves you, to make room for new information to come in. I mean, like, don't fight your very human and process. Like, be a good human. Be a good
animal. Awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, so I think that was good. I wanted to do a little bit of like a meditation, but I think I pretty much touched on that. I think that people can do that on their own, where I just encourage whoever's watching to just go into a quiet space and to take some deep breaths and to really root, connect to the earth, connect your crown. It's about size your thumb, like up here, into source as high as you want to go, and also deep into the earth as you can go, and just really feel yourself in this presence. And to ask, show me my purpose. You can even say, show me my purpose today. What is my purpose today? Or you can go into a surrendering of, I completely hand over this day. I completely hand over this day, and just guide me what to do, not do, say, not say, eat, not eat, drink, not eat, not drink or not drink, whatever that is. Like, completely just surrender to something greater than yourself and kind of release a little bit of that control. And there's so much freedom in that. And so that you go into a knowing of that everything you're doing and saying is supported, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because,
But
yeah, I love that.
Anyway, and ask. And then, so to wrap up that, and the show is that we are BeautiesTalkingBusiness.com. You can find us over on the website. We also have a Facebook group. We're going to give YouTube live stream a try. We're live every Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time if there's no technical difficulties. And you can also catch all the replays over on the website at BeautiesTalkingBusiness.com. And yeah, we just talk everything from just what it takes to be a creative and modern and millennial entrepreneur in the service, business, product, whatever that world is to you. We talk about some of the what it takes, but then we also talk about not just what it takes to do, but also what it takes to really emotionally handle and to do as well. And I think today, to really truly be happy boils down to self-care, simplifying, and allowing and trusting that you've got this. And you're supported. I think that's really it.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Jenny. That's awesome.
Oh, I forgot to say too, you can find my vlog over at JennyAHansen.com. I'm also all over online at JennyAHansen. And
you can get Jenny's free download, right? Sign up on her website.
Yes. Cool. And same thing with Drea. She has
a meditation.
Confidence, which is good.
Yeah. My Confidence by Design audio training.
Yes.
On shinewithdrea.com. Yes.
And online, you're at shinewithdrea.com too. And we didn't even Snapchat. I gotta get us like a good 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's cute. It's a little, oh, you look cute. I'm blurry. That's okay.
Well, we want to thank you guys for being on, and I hope you got value from this. Please join us on Beauties Talking Business Facebook page so we can keep chatting, keep the conversation going, get questions for next time, for our next show, and all that fun stuff. You can find us over there. So that being said, that is all, and I hope that you guys can go and shine today.
Yay! Excellent. Thank you so much. Bye.